Thank you for joining us here today. We are gathered here today on the traditional territory of Treaty 7, and I acknowledge the Métis people of Alberta who share a deep connection and history with this land. Shortly after forming government, the UCP removed the rate cap on electricity prices that was introduced by our NDP government. Since then, electricity prices have steadily increased, and in recent months, prices have skyrocketed. Month after month, new records have been set for electricity prices here in Alberta. In January, the RRO ranges from 27 to 29 cents. This is a 350% increase since the UCP formed government. In a half-baked attempt to hide this from Albertans, the UCP has implemented a utility payment deferral program. They call it a rate cap, but it's more like a payday loan scheme. Each month, any electricity charges over 13.5 cents go into a pool of debt that Albertans on the RRO have to pay back starting in April. As you can see from the graph, this means that roughly half of Alberta's families' power bills are added to household debt under the current price situation. This is not a solution. Albertans are already struggling to put food on the table and keep the lights on. Piling on more debt in the middle of an affordability crisis does nothing to help them in the long term. And all it does is make Albertans' power bills look good until after the election. It's a scam. If the UCP wants to call it a rate cap, they should bring in a real one that doesn't force Albertans to carry further debt. And if they want to provide utility rebates, they should design it in a way that it gets to all Albertans. Currently, hundreds of thousands of Albertans living in condos and apartments and seniors buildings are not receiving the rebate because of the poorly designed plan. A study from the University of Calgary shows that the renewable energy contracts signed by our government have generated over $100 million in revenue for the province, and this number continues to grow each month. The money could have been used to help Albertans with their higher utility costs, particularly low-income Albertans who are struggling the most right now. As you can see, the UCP's utility deferral scheme just piles more debt onto Albertans, which is the last thing that most Albertans need right now. There are several potential solutions available to the UCP to fix this broken program and provide real relief to Albertans in the short term, including a real rate cap, increasing rebates, and making sure rebates get to every household. But instead, the UCP are simply hiding the truth until after the election. Before I take questions, I would also like to comment on Danielle Smith's recent remarks about the TMX pipeline, trying to imply that this critical project might not be finished. Smith's comments are totally irresponsible. TMX is a critical project for the future of the Alberta energy industry. That pipeline is a signal to investors that Alberta will have the capacity to bring our energy products to global markets. For Smith to cast doubt about our takeaway capacity will destroy jobs. She's using cheap politics at the expense of Alberta jobs. Our NDP government launched a national campaign called Keep Canada Working that grew support for pipelines across the country, taking support from 40% to 70%. This project has created good-paying jobs during its construction, and once operational, it will continue to support jobs, economic growth, and our energy sector. Rather than cheering against this vital project because it was started under an Alberta NDP government, Smith should be telling the world that this pipeline will be operational later this very year. I'm looking forward to seeing Rachel Notley cut the ribbon on it. Thank you, and I'm happy to take your questions.
Okay, we'll go to questions on the line. Just a reminder, if you're joining by Zoom, to use the raise hand function, and if you're joining by phone, to press *9, and we'll go to our first caller. Yeah, go ahead, caller. Your line is open.
Yeah, hi, this is Chris calling with the Global Desert. Quick question, just get your reaction on the public interest and the reasonable likelihood of conviction. Meanwhile, she's saying the Crown remains independent on these cases. We're hoping to get your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think her comments are totally irresponsible. So to begin with, prosecutors make those decisions independently. They make those determinations specifically based on reasonable likelihood of conviction and the public interest. And so, you know, to have the Premier essentially interfering once a prosecutor has made a determination of the public interest and saying, oh, but are you really sure that's in the public interest? There's definitely an implication of sort of wanting to influence that decision. And I think that is highly problematic. Smith has been clear on this issue, that she, you know, essentially supported these folks breaking laws that were in place to protect the public interest. And now she's sort of looking to potentially interfere in cases of people who supported her to become Premier. I think it's highly problematic on a number of levels.
Did you follow up?
Is there, yeah, in light of this, is there any certain, you know, actions or, you know, anything you guys are planning to do or would like to do?
Yes, absolutely. So we are calling for an inquiry into this matter. I think, you know, when former Justice Minister Casey Madu called the police chief about his ticket, interfered in the justice system, or tried to interfere in the justice system, I suppose is what actually was found. An investigation was completed and that investigation was made public. I think in this case, in light of the fact that Danielle Smith has been fairly clear in her support of these people breaking the law, and has now said that she's asking prosecutors about their judgments of the public interest, which is highly inappropriate. I think that there ought to be an investigation to determine whether anything unreasonable occurred, because it just doesn't pass the smell test.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, next question goes to Dylan Short.
But I just wanted to get your reaction to Alberta getting official intervener status on the federal firearm legislation.
That is news to me. So I would like to look into that, but we can give you a call back.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, one more pass for questions on the line. And seeing none, that's all for today.
Thank you very much.
Much for watching, and to learn more, check out albertasfuture.ca.